Today I'd like to continue our discussion of the book of Judges and take a look at chapter 12. In chapter 12, just after the victory of Jephthah and the unfortunate tragedy that really befell him with the vow with his daughter, the men of Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim, they come to Jephthah and they're upset. And they're upset because they feel that they were not called to fight against the Ammonites. And of course, they would be upset because there was a victory, but the victory would involve some booty and some uh, fortunes that could be made by the people in the tribe. They would do well winning in battle. So they hear, there's this victory. They feel they weren't called. And so they go to Jephthah and they're very upset. They are so upset that they tell Jephthah that they will burn his house down. So, not good news, obviously, for Jephthah to hear this. They're going to burn my house down. My goodness. Uh, Jephthah, though, speaks to them. He says, well, you didn't come to help when I summoned you. I sent messengers to you. I told you what was happening, and you didn't come. And so what happened is there was a battle between the forces of Jephthah and some of the Ephraimites, and Jephthah wins that battle too. So we can see these tensions that exist between the various tribes of Israel. We've seen some of the tensions between the tribes and their surrounding neighbors, different tribes among the Canaanites. We also see this within the tribes of Israel, and a lot of it is, of course, that whole thing that we always see with wars and battles, the economy, the booty, the rewards for the winning in battle, the better land, the more access to water rights, all these things are in play as they're in the promised land. And it's interesting, of course, how Jephthah wins this battle. The Ephraimites, they try to pass through the fords of the Jordan, the places where it's easier to get through the river. And these, of course, are well known also to the followers of Jephthah. And so the Gileadites, the followers of Jephthah, they would ask them to say the word shibboleth, which means flood or current. When they did not give the proper pronunciation, they left out the SH sound. The Gileadites would kill them by the fords of the Jordan. And the scripture tells us that 42,000 Ephraimites died at this time. Probably, of course, a very exaggerated number. A lot of times we see these wild numbers about deaths and battles, and even with regard to the ages of some of the people and how many children they had. A lot of times these are exaggerated numbers, but certainly what we can ascertain from this is that certainly the Gileadites, led by Jephthah, were very intelligent in terms of how to work this battle and position themselves in the proper place where they would come across the Jordan. So they would be easier targets for the Gileadites. And so a significant number of them were killed in this way. Jephthah then judges Israel for 6 years, and when he was died, he was buried in his city in Gilead. The next judge was Ibzan, and Ibzan came from Bethlehem, not the Bethlehem that we're familiar with in the south near Jerusalem, but there's another Bethlehem in the north, close, interestingly enough, to Nazareth. Ibzan had 30 sons. So again, this would be the time when you would marry several women and have a huge number of sons. This was a sign of blessing from God. You had these many sons, and of course, they would be very helpful with farming and in all sorts of occupations. Having a number of sons was just such a great blessing. Also had 30 daughters. So interesting, equal number of sons and daughters. And 30 daughters married outside the family. And he also brought in 30 wives for his sons from outside the family. This is the time, of course, when the parents would arrange the marriages. They would pick the wives, they would pick the husbands for their children. He is a judge in Israel for 7 years. Now, it's interesting, too, the marriages outside the family, these were made to build up alliances. We will see this, of course, in the European history, that a lot of the kings and nobles made marriages in other royal families in other countries, and this would be to build alliances with those countries. France would do it with Spain, Portugal, Italy, all of these marriages, England back and forth, Germany, and these would help the family achieve more prominence through alliances. So this was, again, the thinking here in the tribes marrying somebody from a different tribe. They tried most of the marriages to make it within the Israelites, but there was many marriages also among the Canaanites. And this, of course, led to worship of the Baals and the other gods and goddesses of the Canaanites. The next judge was Elon. And Elon judged for 10 years, and he was from the tribe of Zebulun. So we can see that a lot of these judges come from the various tribes. So it's not just one tribe that is controlling who is the judge. We also see among these judges that there wasn't always a battle involved or the occasion of a military adventure. It was just somebody who was a good leader, who'd bring the people together. This would give him the honorific title of judge because of the leadership abilities. And sometimes it was a question of wealth as well, prominence within the tribe. The next judge was Abdon, and he judged for 8 years. And he even had more sons. The Bible indicates in the book of Judges that he had 40 sons and 30 grandsons. So again, quite an extensive family life for him. And again, a sign of blessing. So many sons, so many grandsons. This was a beautiful thing. This was a sign that God had blessed you, that you were prosperous, and that you could control a significant amount of land with your sons and grandsons helping out in the fields and helping at harvest time. All of this was extremely important for the people of Israel. We see that these judges, these last three that we have mentioned, Ibzan and Elon and Abdon, they were not involved in any battles like Jephthah was and Abimelech, some of the other judges, but they just led the people, and they led them well, and they were very helpful in organizing the tribes and keeping them together and helping them to grow in a very prosperous way.